This video is going to explain various ways that we can format our worksheet. Some of this will be a slight review, but others will be new. We're going to be focusing on these three parts of the ribbon, these three groups: the font group, the alignment group, and the number group. And also the styles group. And remember styles from when we were in Word and we applied heading 1, heading 2, heading 3 styles. So we're going to see that we have the same type of ability here, but just works slightly different. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to select the range of A1 to I1. And I'm going to apply a cell style of a heading 1. So you can see what the heading 1 looks like here. You can see there's various headings available, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, which we're pretty comfortable with. They also have themed cell styles available, which is a little bit different than anything that we saw in Word. And you can do some number formatting here as well. We're going to learn another place that you can do that. And then there's some additional like normal, bad, good. We'll learn about these in future chapters. But for now, we're just going to go to this heading 1. Okay. And what we want to do next is we want to have, this is typed in cell A1, right? And we can right now click in each of these cells individually. But I want to center this across this range because it is a title. So what I want to do is sort of merge these cells together and then center this across that range. So in order to do that, I need to highlight the area that I want it to merge and center across. So I've highlighted A1 to I1, and I'm going to pick here in the alignment group, merge and center. So you'll see now what happens is I can't click on any of these cells individually. They're all considered cell A1 now because they've been merged and centered. If I wanted to unmerge them, I could simply click merge and center again, and that would remove the merging. So I'm going to do the same thing down here for my date. I'm going to highlight the range of A2 through I2, and I'm going to pick merge and center. Notice I couldn't do both of these at once because you can't merge two rows like that together. I wanted them to be each their own separate, so that's why I had to do them separately. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to select the range of A4 to I4. So I have this whole area selected, and, oh, actually, no. A4 to I4 is this range here. Sorry about that. So I have all of my headings selected, A4 through I4. And I notice that my column widths are wider, not because of the numbers that are in them, but because of the column headers. And so that's kind of silly because we know that we can adjust our row height. We learned that in an earlier video. So why couldn't we adjust our row height so that our text could wrap in the cell and we wouldn't need to have our column widths be as big? And the answer is you can. So we have this highlighted. And we're going to go up here on the Home tab to the Alignment group, and you need to pick Wrap Text to let it know that it's okay to wrap the text in the cell. So you see profit margin here is now wrapped, right? And some of them, once you adjust the column width, so watch if I adjust this column width, then I'll see how they become wrapped, so to speak. So our column heading is now wrapped because I adjust the column width accordingly. But first what I'm going to do before I do that is I'm going to bold these. And I'm going to choose to do what's called middle align. And I'm going to center them as well. So you notice here we didn't have, we had this in Word. We had left, center, and right in Word, right, for a paragraph alignment. For here it's your cell alignment. It's whether it's in the left part of the cell, the center part of the cell, or the right part of the cell. Okay. But in addition, we have this top align, middle align, bottom align, which is how it aligns up and down. Now that we have our row height, right now they are at the bottom of the cell. See how they're all sitting at the bottom part of the cell? But I want them to go to the middle of the cell. So they're each going to move up now and be in the middle of the cell. Notice how percent off and profit margin, you don't really notice a difference because they're already taking up the whole width of the cell up and down. So, or the height of the cell, I should say. So I'm also going to center them so that they're centered accordingly. And I might choose to just kind of bring this in a little bit so that I'm using that wrap text, basically. And I could have done each of these at the same time. I just chose to do them each separately. And I'm going to make my cost a little bit more. Okay, so I've now adjusted my wrap text. I bold. I've used middle align. The next thing I want to do is I want to somehow indicate that these are headings. So first I'm going to bold because this is a heading. And this is a heading, but I also want to sort of indent these in from the heading. So I can do that over here in the alignment category. We had increase and decrease indent in Word, right? That did the whole left indent and increased it or decreased it. We use that for bullets as well. So we're going to click here and do an increase indent, and you'll see how it just kind of indents it. Maybe I'll do it a little bit more, okay? And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to indent this one twice, 1, 2. And I notice, though, that I have to adjust my column width again. So I'm going to double click it so now I can see it looks a little bit better, right? Okay. Next, I want to add some borders. I want to point out to you that you see the grid lines here, right? If I were to go to File and print this, notice how there's no grid lines, okay? You have the option of putting them in, but they would be all over the worksheet just like they are for here, right? They'd be all over everywhere. Well, what we want to do is just put borders where we want them to be. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select my range of text here, and I'm going to go up to, it's the same place in the font group here. This is our borders, right? It looks the same as it did in Word. And we know we have some preset options, and I'm actually going to choose one of these. I'm going to do thick outside borders. But keep in mind that if you wanted to pick a certain color or certain line style or certain whatever, you could always go down to more borders, right? I'll show you more borders quickly. You pick the line style, you pick the color, and then you have the presets, or you can literally check that you want to be on the outside, area. So like I could do this and this and this and this and this, and it would do that dark border all the way around. Or if I wanted a double border, right, then I'd have to re-click and tell it, no, I want a double border, right? So you want to keep in mind, first you pick the style, then you pick the color, then you pick where you want it to go, okay? So I'm actually going to cancel that because what I want to do instead is pick this preset of just the thick outside border. Now, I don't really notice anything's happened because I still have my range highlighted. So we'll see in a second. Actually, I'll just click off. So see, you can now see that you have that thick border all the way around. And when you do File Print, you see how you see that border. Okay. We still have the other information that we pasted below in the last video, but I'm not worried about that right now. Okay, so I also want to somehow set my titles apart here. So I want to shade this area in. And that is done by this fill color drop down, the shading bucket. Okay. And keep in mind here, because I notice some of you are still getting this wrong, you really want to pay attention to which color it is. Notice how they're a little different. Blue accent 1 lighter 80% is different than, say, blue accent 1 lighter 60%. Okay. The top of the list doesn't have any light or anything. It's just blue accent 1. Okay. And your standard colors is just, say, light blue or just plain blue. So that's the difference. So standard colors is just the color. The top one is just the color with the accent, and then everything below it is either a lighter or darker variation of it. So it's always a good idea to either do dark on light or light on dark. Since my text is black, I'm going to go with this light blue. Okay. Let's see, what else do I want to cover here? Okay, so next I'm going to talk about number formatting. Actually, you know what? I think I'll do this in the next video. So we'll talk about number formatting in the next video just to kind of break this up a bit. So this video covered everything to do with font, our alignment, okay? And next we're going to talk about numbers, and we did touch on cell styles as well, okay? The only thing that we didn't cover here for alignment was this guy, which is the ability to rotate text in your column. But otherwise, you already know what all of these buttons do from Word. They work very much the same way, and we've talked about each of these. So you've got a pretty good handle, I think, at this point. The key is to make sure that, you've highlighted correctly what you want before you go to format. See you in the next video.